Good afternoon, good day, everyone joining us today. You're very welcome to the first of our series of webinars here. Thank you indeed for making time to be here. I think we are going to start while we wait for others to join us here this morning. So I'm going to start by making a few opening remarks, and then we get into the subject that we have at hand today. So this webinar is coming to us today courtesy of Partners Worldwide and her partners. So like the name says, Partners Worldwide is really a network organization, and we're able to do what we do around the world because of our partners. I'll explain that shortly. But because we have people who are joining us today who may not be familiar with Partners Worldwide and the work that we do, so I'll just tell you a little bit in a few sentences who Partners Worldwide is. Partners Worldwide is a global Christian network of business and professional people who aspire to end poverty so that all may have life and have it abundantly. At Partners Worldwide, we believe that God has uniquely equipped and positioned business and professional people to faithfully pursue a world without poverty. And we believe that the fight against poverty will be won through entrepreneurial solutions. So our vision is we aspire to end poverty so that all may have life and have it abundantly. And we mobilize long-term hands-on global relationships to form a powerful Christian network that uses business as the way to create flourishing economic environments in all parts of the world. So like I said a few moments ago, this is the first in what is going to be a series of monthly webinars that we talked with our LCIs and LCI leaders some while ago and decided that we need to start these monthly webinars. And they will be holding every fourth Friday of the month. And the aim is to bring help and support to our entrepreneurs so that they can build agile businesses that can stand the challenging times that we are in. So the target for this would be entrepreneurs who are members of the Partners Worldwide network. And at Partners Worldwide, we have partners that we call LCIs, local community institutions. And we have those in Liberia, in Cote d'Ivoire, in Ghana, in Nigeria, that's in West Africa. And then in other parts of Africa, we have LCIs in Kenya, Uganda, Mozambique, Zimbabwe, Swaziland. So today, being the first of these webinars, as I said, we have our facilitator who would be taking us through the learning we have for today. Sandra Van Dijk will be introducing himself shortly, so I won't say a whole lot about him just yet. Sandra is a team member of the business affiliate that is supporting Light Microfinance Bank in Nigeria. So I have other hosts and panelists that would be working together today. Mario,
Jeremiah, you still there? So otherwise,
yes,
okay.
Yes, I'm back.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So on the team of panelists, we have Mario, Myra is joining us this morning from Grand Rapids, Michigan. Myra is also a BA team member on the BA team in Nigeria. I have my colleague Joyce, who would be co-hosting today with me. Joyce is Partnership Operations Manager for West Africa at Partners Worldwide. Joyce has been at Partners Worldwide for the past 5 years or so, and the role she plays at Partners Worldwide is mainly around monitoring and analyzing performance of businesses in our network. And for her professional background, Joyce is an accountant and has a degree in economics and a master's degree in business administration. My name is Jeremiah Yongo. I've been on staff at Partners Worldwide for about 12 years or so, and I serve and support teams in the West Africa countries of Nigeria, Ghana, Liberia, and Cote d'Ivoire. We also have, as I said earlier, BA team members that are joining us today. We have LCI leaders, members of LCIs. We have invited guests that are joining us today, and we have Partners Worldwide staff that are on the call with us today, including the Regional Director for Africa of Partners Worldwide. So Martin is joining us today as well. So a very hearty welcome to all of you, and we're really happy to have you. So we'll just go through a few housekeeping rules here as we start. So because of our number on the call today, we will not be able to have the luxury of asking long questions. So please, when you conceive your questions, be very mindful and ask very short questions and direct to the point, or make very poignant contributions if you have those. Our facilitator will also give us a few housekeeping guidelines, but what he would prefer is that at each slide, as he's presenting on each slide, you use the Q&A box, which is at the bottom of your screen. The facilitator will go through this again, but you use the Q&A box to write questions that you may have as the slide is being presented. So as soon as you think of a question, please jump into the Q&A box and start typing your question as soon as possible. And we will try to answer as many of those questions as we can as the presentation unfolds. So please do not use the chat function. Use the Q&A function to type in your questions. If you are not able to type your question right away, or due to one reason or another, there is a raise hand function. Again, our facilitator will show us a screenshot of where you can find the raise hand function. Some of you, when you joined, you already used it, and we can see you raising your hand already. So when you raise your hand, then we will unmute you, and then you can ask your question. Again, raise your hand as soon as you think of a question so that we have time enough to get around to you. Again, we have a short poll for you to take just before we start this webinar. Our facilitator will tell us when that will happen, and then I will broadcast the poll out to you. And if you are joining by computer, you should be able to take that poll. Even if it's a tablet, you'll be able to take that poll. At the end of the webinar, some of you will receive an email shortly after the webinar ends. So please plan to stay on for 3 or 4 minutes afterward, and please give us feedback as to your experience today to help us to improve in the subsequent webinars that we'll be hosting from August going forward. So thank you very much. I know that if you have questions, we will take those after the facilitator does his introductions and takes us to the very next step. So at this time, let's welcome our facilitator, Mr. Sandra Van Dijk. Sandra.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Jeremiah. So, and good afternoon to all of you, and good morning to the Americans in the audience. Yeah, I made this slide to introduce myself. So my name is Sandra Van Dijk, age 45. I've been working with partners worldwide since 2015. And since 2018, I've been assigned to Light Microfinance Bank, working with Mr. Danjuma in Jos. And last time I visited was just before the Corona outbreak in March. And so Light Microfinance Bank is my focus area, is my LCI that I work with. In my professional life, I'm currently employed by Nuts2 as a development director since 2019. Nuts2 is an international trader in nuts and cashew in particular. We only have a small office in the Netherlands, but we have 20,000 staff in factories in Burkina Faso and Benin. And we are growing, so it's exciting times to be part of that company. Before I worked with Nuts2, I've been working with a number of companies, starting at ExxonMobil in 1998. I worked in the Dutch mail company. I worked at KPMG, the consulting firm. I worked at Shell for about 8 years in different parts of Shell, and then I worked with T-Mobile. So I've seen a number of different industries, and all of those experiences are really useful when I work with also with not only with Nuts2, but also work with partners in Light Microfinance Bank. So that's a little bit about me. I'm based in the Netherlands, as probably important to mention. So at this time it's 5:15 in the Netherlands, so we are almost in the same time zone. So that's about me, yes. And then before we go into the content, we thought we would show you a bit about how to navigate Zoom, because for many of you it may be the first time. So this is a screenshot of a session that we held yesterday. So we were in the session just the three of us, and I want to highlight a few important buttons that you can use. The first one is the mute button, as I'm pointing out right here. So when you, before you speak, you should be unmuted, right? So when you don't speak, please make sure you're muted, so we don't hear any disturbance, any noises, and the sound quality is the best for everyone, all the attendees. Then there is the video button, which basically allows you to show yourself through the video on screen. We have actually disabled that for most of the participants in order to have the best video quality and not use the bandwidth too much. Then, if you click the participants icon, you can actually see the participants here to the right. You can raise hands. That's an important feature. Yeah, so that's a button you probably will want to use. And then there is the Q&A button right there. If you click that, the Q&A box will open and you can type your questions. And then my co-host will actually help me to collect those questions and pick out and select the ones that we should address right away. So the preference would be for you to type in the question, and then we can make sure it's addressed, because we have quite a large audience of about 40 people. So it's probably most efficient if you type in your questions. Yes, that's it. So we will also use a poll. This is our first webinar, so we need to experiment with a couple of things, like how we do interaction with an audience this size. So I guess, Jeremiah, I would like to run the first two polls just now. I can actually launch them from here. I can see that. So
Okay.
let me just do that right now. I'm launching the
Sure.
poll,
Okay.
and I would be curious to see how it shows. So what we are asking you is to enter which LCI you are partnering with. So you can see. Let me scroll down here. You can see 10 different organizations that you can select. So I hope you can all see that, and you can actually click the LCI that you are part of, so we can see who is represented here. If you cannot see the poll, can you raise your hand?
Okay. We have.
Yeah, so we have one vote.
Yeah. Some people have. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you have a challenge in the poll, please raise your hand. All right. We're having. Yeah.
Yeah, a few are coming in. Yeah, exactly.
Thanks.
So I can see some people coming in from Light Microfinance Bank and Bowen Microfinance Bank, but also PCN, Hopeline Institute.
Yeah, Rachel
Yeah,
Freeman. Yeah.
Nice. They're all coming in. I don't think the participants will be able to see this, but I can see there's 11 responses out of 39. So 28% voted. So we'll just wait a minute more to collect more responses.
I can see that a couple of people are joining on phones and handheld devices, so that may kind of hamper their dexterity at voting.
It's all right. They're still coming in. Yeah, so this is a good learning for us, right? To see how convenient this is. Can we do, is it easy to add a few polls during the presentation, or is it quite a cumbersome process? It's good for us to learn. So they're still coming in, so we'll still give more time. 64%. Jeremiah, what do you think? Should we end it here?
Yeah.
Or you want to wait a bit more?
Yeah, we have 25 of 37. It looks like, yeah, looks like one or two are still trickling in. Maybe in a minute or so we can end the polling.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you can still carry on with the presentation, and we end the poll in a minute or so.
Yeah, so I'm just sharing the results. I guess you can see my screen just now. So you can see about 50% of the participants are connected to Light Microfinance Bank or Bowen Microfinance Bank, but we also have one from Virtuous Women. We have 5 of them from PCN. There's 3 of them from Hopeline Institute. So good to have you all here. Thank you very much. As a test, this is quite useful. So I will stop sharing these results. And wait a minute. I can see people have already. Is this the same data or is this different? I can also see the answers to the subsequent questions.
Yeah.
Yes, indeed.
I think they just
look at this.
Yeah.
Look at this.
So,
Yeah. Okay, so this is a good learning for us. These polls were meant to we meant to actually request later in the presentation, but you have already done it. That's all right. We'll make use of those results when they when we come to those topics. So thank you very much. I will stop sharing. Move this out. And then, wait a minute. Oh yeah, that's the chat. Oh yeah, indeed. So I think that's the button that I forgot to mention. So we said, let's not use chat. We will monitor Q&A. So if you have questions, please use Q&A so we don't need to monitor different chat boxes. All right, then on to the topic of today. And the webinar series is titled Building an Agile Business. And I would add, what is more important than sales, right? So we know from March onwards, and especially with the lockdown, every business is suffering from business discontinuity, all kinds of interruptions, customers, we can't find our way to customers. And I would say in general, in an economic downturn, when all goes bad, you need to be, only the strong survive, right? So we want to build a business that has strong customer preference. So we know that when the customer is going to spend his money, he will actually do it with us. So what we will be talking about today is actually 2 topics, and one of them is how to engage with your customer to create a learning loop and grow your business. And that is by, as I would say, asking the ultimate question. So that's the ultimate question. That's going to be the first topic of this webinar. And then the next topic would be how to make yourself known to new customers, right? So you're, especially when the economy slows down, you want new customers to find you, right? So we will be looking at the new rules of marketing and PR. So what I will be, what this is going to be about is how to establish learning loops, get feedback from your customer, so you can improve your product or service, but also to build on your strengths and actually market those strengths. And what I will do is just share a few insights from that the leading companies in Europe and the US are working with today. So you may benefit from those same insights. So I would encourage you to indeed type your questions as they pop up, right? And then before we move to a next slide, we will take time and review any questions that have come up. And then the host will actually, if necessary, make a selection of those questions. We may not be able to answer all of them, so that is up to the hosts. So with that said, I would like to go to the next slide. And then the question is there any questions just yet, Jeremiah?
Not yet.
I did hear a beep in my. I did hear a beep, but I don't.
No typed questions have come in yet. So
okay.
Yeah.
Okay, let's move on. So then, on to the first topic, which is asking the ultimate question. And what we're really trying to do is to transform customers into promoters. And that ultimate question, it is as simple as this. And we will make it very practical in this presentation, but it starts with this. You will ask your customer on a 0 to 10 scale, how likely is it that you would recommend us to a friend or colleague? And this is a very powerful question because you will get a number of different responses. Some people will put down a 7 or an 8. Some people will put down a 2 or a 3. They are really dissatisfied. And you may have people that are extremely excited about your product or service, and they will give you a 9 or a 10. And the 9s or 10s we are actually referring to as promoters. So the important thing is we want to have more promoters and less detractors, right? So how can we actually get rid of the detractors and acquire more promoters? That is by actually asking the follow-up question, what is the primary reason for your score? So if we look at the detractors and we understand what is the primary reason for their low score, those are actually the leads that we can work on and to improve our business. While with the promoters, if we ask them for the primary reason of your score, you will find out about the strength in your service or product. And it's probably giving you some hints on what you should be boasting about in the market, what you should be marketing about in terms of, because it will tell you what your customers are really appreciating. In short, promoters are your ambassadors in the market, right? They will basically tell everyone who wants to hear, this is a great company, you should go with them. They are the experts, they have the best product, the best service. So when people, when in their environment, in their environment, in their social sphere, they will be promoting your company, whereas the detractors may actually tell people, don't go there, it's lousy, it's poor service, the product is bad, you don't want that, right? So instead of, can I say this rudely, shutting them up, you want to actually improve your service and make sure that you take away the reasons for people being detractors and making your business, your products and services better, and build a better business. So let me see if I caught everything there. Yeah. So what I wanted to say on this too is you can do this measurement once, but then the key is to do it continuously, right? So you can compare 1 month and the next one and the next one, because in the end, what we want to do is see an improvement. So we want to see more promoters and less detractors. So if you don't improve your business, you won't be seeing the number change. So it's really an input to finding where to improve your business. So what we're measuring is how many more promoters do we have compared to detractors, and it sounds simple, but it is it's not that easy. So I'll come back to it a few times. So we're comparing how many more promoters do we have compared to the number of detractors. So it can either be a negative number when you have more detractors than promoters, or it can be a positive number, more promoters than detractors. And the key is how to get from the negative to the positive number, or when you're already positive, how to build on that. Is there any questions, Jeremiah, at this point?
No, not yet.
Does anyone want to raise their hand to ask a question at this point? If not, I will just move on to the next slide. If I'm in the next slide, you still want to ask a question about the previous one, don't hesitate to write it in the Q&A or raise your hand. I'm happy to go back a slide if you want me to revisit what I've just shared. So the next slide is on how promoters drive profitable growth. So why is it important to have promoters? Why is this such an important concept? So what we are seeing with promoters is that they will not leave your company. They will probably come back to your company in the next year, next month, right? So you don't need to put in all the sales effort again to win them over. So it is they're easily sold, right? The second thing is they will be less sensitive to prices. So when you ask a slightly higher price, they are most likely going to accept it because your service or product is, they're so excited about your product or service. So you can actually achieve a higher price and therefore a better margin and therefore a more profitable growth. But we're also seeing that promoters are typically spending more with you on an annual basis. So you get they will just buy more of your product than a passive, for instance. Then the fourth bullet is on complaints. So promoters, they don't complain, right? They're excited about what you're doing. So you don't need to spend your time fixing complaints or giving them a replacement product or anything else. So it is basically it's saving you a lot of time and money. And last but not least, promoters are your ambassadors in the market, right? So if you have a good product and promoters, you have a good number of promoters, they will be shouting about it in the market, and that will help you attract new customers and help you grow. So I thought of sharing when we implemented this measure in Tele2 or in T-Mobile, where I worked some years ago. We started this measure and we were sort of at -40. We'll cover later how to exactly calculate this number, but it was -40, so it was lousy. We had about 10% promoters, maybe 50% detractors, and about 40% passives, right? So just a few promoters, a lot of detractors, customers being really dissatisfied with our service. They had to wait for many minutes before they were attended to in service calls when they had complaints. So it was horrible customer service, to be honest. So at some point, the company decided to take this seriously. We implemented this measure, and we actually started to work on the factors that were causing the detractors. And after some years, we were around 0. So it means we were having just about as much promoters as detractors. It is not great. It's not. We'd rather have only promoters, but we made a significant improvement, and at least we eliminated a lot of the negative noise that was on social media from detractors. So it was really, it's been really a business improvement. Yes, I see somebody raising their hand.
Yeah.
Jeremiah, what do you think?
Yes, so someone has asked a question.
Yeah.
And they say, this is their question: most of my major customers have left me to borrow at the National Microfinance Bank because the government issued a stimulus loan at single digits of interest rate. So they consider my loans a little bit costly. Yep. What should I do to get them back?
Yes, so I mean, this is basically just killing the level playing field, right? So when the government actually, let's say, helps a government bank at the expense of a local business, it's impossible to compete. So I don't think there is an easy answer to the question, but if anything, you can still compete with the government bank on service, right? So make sure you have a speedy loan examination process or loan evaluation process. Make sure that you give him all the attention he needs. make sure that you actually protect him from getting into something that he cannot do. So I think so when you cannot win it on price, you should find, let's say, your differentiators in service, for instance, and maybe I'm not sure. I know Light Microfinance Bank is on the phone. I'm not sure if the question came from Light, but there's a couple of banks there. Maybe there's others who have similar experience and actually one can share about how they're dealing with it.
So the person joining on TechnoSpark 4, you should be able to unmute yourself and ask your question.
Can we also unmute him?
Yes. Yeah, go ahead.
Hello.
Yes, we can hear you. Please speak up. Yes, please, can you introduce yourself?
Yes, my name is Dauda Tamsin from Light Microfinance Bank here.
Dauda.
In Jos Plateau, Nigeria.
Nice to meet you again.
Okay.
I earlier asked a question. Hello?
Yeah.
Yes, go ahead. We can hear you, Dauda.
Yes, I said I have most of my major customers who have been giving me much business have now left me to borrow at Nisal Microfinance Bank, which is the National Microfinance Bank. And that has posed a serious constraint to me in terms of sales. So I want to know and get a strategy that I can win them back.
Yes.
Hello?
So thank you. The question is clear. I just try to answer it. I don't think there's an easy answer to your question. It's hard to Oh, you can't hear me?
Hello?
Yes, we heard you, Dauda. Can you hear Sandra? Hello, Dauda.
So Jeremiah, maybe in general, we can mute Dauda. We got the question. I think we. Like I said, I don't think there's an easy answer here. But if anything, I think you should compete on let's say the other elements like service and personal attention and all of that. But yeah, of course, this is an unfair, let's say, playing field. So that's a challenge.
Okay, we have another question here from Darius, and he says, how do I get to identify detractor in my business, and how can I get that off my business?
Yeah, so
yeah,
indeed. So that's a good question. So what we're really saying is, I'll just go back one slide. Where is it? So actually, we talk about the ultimate question, but then equally important is the second one, the follow-up question, right? What is the primary reason for your score? So that is something that is equally important, and that will give you the key of what you need to pay attention to get rid of the detractors, or to turn detractors into at least passives, or turn them from detractors into promoters, right? So that would be the key to finding what is there to improve. And then they may say, yeah, the key reason is your rates are way too high compared to the national bank. Yeah, that's a very difficult factor to address. I understand, and so you will have to look at other factors to compensate for that as much as possible. All right.
Right. Yeah. So we have someone raising their hand here a minute. So let's unmute them to talk. Ben, it looks like Ben has lowered his hand.
All right.
Okay.
There it is,
Yeah. So we can. Oh. Okay. Right. Hello, Ben.
Chidaba.
Hello?
Yes, Ben. Yes, Ben, ask your question.
Hello? I have a challenge here.
Oh, this is actually
Hello?
this is somebody else talking, I think.
Hello.
Yeah, Ben, can you speak? Ask your question.
Yes. My is not a question like the man who just spoken from, I think, from Nigeria also, saying the other opponent is doing things right and all the customers are going there. All that I want to say is that he can also find out what they are doing right and he is not doing.
Yeah.
Maybe it may be as a result of the interest rate, or maybe his staff are not treating the customers well. So these are the things, maybe the basic things he can find out from other opponents.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. So what I still wanted to share on this slide is not only the big yellow star that is coming on, but when I visited Nigeria in March and we met with a potato farmer Ushangal in Jos, I remember her telling us that she actually had customers asking her, when will your harvest be ready? We are ready to buy. We want your potatoes. Right, so she was a small, very small potato farmer, but apparently she had a good type of potato, so a lot of customer interest. So the question is, so my question would be, will her customers be coming back next year? Will she retain those customers? I bet she will. Are they accepting a slightly higher price to get her great tasting potatoes? I bet they will, right? And are they spending the most of their money on her potatoes compared to other potatoes? Yes, for sure. Will she have any complaints? I don't know. They are excited about these. And what do you think these customers will tell what their message will be in their environment on about her potatoes, right? So she has a great product, very tasty, well-tasting potatoes, and she got some promoters. And so that is actually, so she knows the customers are coming back for taste. So that is actually a great thing to build on for her. Thank you.
Maybe one more. We have Paul raising his hand before we proceed. Is that okay?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. I'm unmuting.
I'm good.
Yes, we can hear you. Go ahead.
Hello?
Yes, we can hear you. Go ahead.
Okay. On the microfinance guy that made a comment on the government giving money out at a lower rate.
Yeah.
I think what the government is doing, and it cannot stay for a long time. It will soon crash very soon because the process is not detailed enough, and they're just giving money without collateral, without any plan to collect. It will trash very soon. But for microfinance bank at this point to survive, I think one can use a reason and lower that rate. And say because of the COVID-19, the bank is doing special assistance to customers. So for this period, we give a loan about the same rate the government is offering, or a little bit lower. And this allows for a few months. If you do it for 3-6 months, then your customer will come back and stay with you. Besides, our population in the country is so large. So even though the government is making that offer, very few have access to it. So I think the microfinance bank can lower the rate for very few months and draw customers to stay with them. After that period, they can raise it up and say, because we give this rate because of COVID-19, then things should be fine.
It's an interesting one. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. So with that, I'm just looking at the time. I think it's great to have the interaction. So I don't just keep asking questions, but I will try to cover the material as much as I can. So we talked about about this number, the net. This is called the Net Promoter Score, right? So you want to measure to what extent is the number of promoters exceeding the number of detractors. How many more promoters do we have compared to the number of detractors? So imagine, this is an example. This is just made up numbers. It's not real life. I just made them up. Imagine over a month, we have gathered 74 responses. And the responses look like this. So we have 5 people. Can you see my cursor? I think so. We have 5 people scoring a 0. We have 4 people scoring a 1, etc. We have 15 people scoring a 9 and 5 people scoring a 10. So now what we have is 20 promoters, right? And we have 31 detractors. So the next thing is we want to make a percentage. And so we know that we have about 27% promoters and 42% detractors. And this will then add up to the Net Promoter Score of -15. So this is how you get to a promoter score of -15. So if you have only promoters, you will have 100% here, 0% detractors. So you will have a Net Promoter Score of 100%. If you have only detractors, you will have -100%. And so that is the range between between which you can have your score will be. So keep in mind, it's not so much about the score itself, it's about making the improvement and finding how you can improve your business. Is there any question about the calculation? I hope it is clear.
We have one person raising their hand. Madam Fanny, can you ask your question, please? Hello?
Hello?
Yes, we can hear you.
Oh, okay.
All the way from Ghana. Ask your question.
Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you very much. My question is not about the calculation of the Net Promoter Score. I wanted to just ask if on the scale of kind of acquiring a customer, is this the promoter and detractors? Are they at the customer level?
Yeah.
Because a lot goes into checking to see if this particular person has turned into a promoter or is just at a certain level. Do we have the promoter and detractor test you are talking about? Are they at the customer level, or they are at the end of the scale where in some instances they are called partners? This is what I wanted to ask. Also bearing in mind that it is less expensive to keep a good customer and then more expensive to acquire a new one. Would we say that the promoter is now a partner?
I get it.
Still at the customer level, please?
Yeah, so I think you could say that the promoters are likely to be your partners, right? Because they will not go away. They will have a long-term relationship with you. But also passives may be partners, right? So they may put up with you and still buy your product, but not be fairly happy, but not be excited about them. So what's the difference between just being satisfied and being excited? That's the difference between a passive and a promoter. And I would say a detractor for sure will not turn into a partner. It will leave at some point if he's not already left. Yeah, so your partners will be passives or promoters, but not necessarily promoters. Does that make sense? All right. Let's then with that said, let me look at my notes. Yeah. So let's go to the next slide. So there's also a lot of discussion about this measure, right? And when I was in T-Mobile, we had discussions like, yeah, everybody scores an experience in a different way. What is an 8 to someone is for the other one is a 9, or someone will score a 7 and be very happy, and others will score a 9 and be very happy. So how can I add those numbers up? What does it actually tell me, right? Or this is too American a system, right? Dutch people are not excited, are not quickly excited about the product or service. If they are excited, they will give you an 8, but they will never give 10s or 9s or 10s. So what is this usable for us at all? Or the negative customers are over represented in the sample. So only the negative customers will respond. So there is a lot of positive customers out there, but they just don't respond. So what good is this measure for me? And there may be some truth in all of this, but keep in mind, it's only about finding what can be improved, right? So if your score is -50, it is great because you will, when you ask the second question and you know what is the key reason for giving that score, you will find what you can actually improve and give your customers a better experience. And secondly, it's about making improvement over time. So whether or not the -40 that we were at in T-Mobile was any right or wrong, it doesn't matter. In the end, we want to see it improve, and we want to see it improve from -40 to 0. And whether the 0 should actually be a 10 or a -10 or whatever, we don't care, right? So it's just to solicit that input that you can work on and give your customers a better experience. So that's how you can actually look at all of those objections. So now, how to collect this input. So let's make it a bit practical, because you understand the concept, but how do you actually implement this in your business if you want to actually start having this conversation with your customers? So you may actually send an invoice over email, right? And you can ask the question right there and then. Just with the invoice, you ask the question, you ask them to respond, and you will keep track of the answers in a logbook, which we'll come to later. Or if you are running a shop, you may just use a scoring sheet and ask people to put a tick mark against the 9, the 10, or the 1, the 4, the 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever, right? So you can also use it, use something like that. The key is you want to collect those scores, and you want to avoid asking customers too often, right? So if you ask the same customer every month to give the score, you will get annoyed, right? So you need to actually spread that question over certain customers, so to make sure you don't ask them more than twice a year. That's the rule of thumb that we applied. And then it's key to, when you continuously collect inputs, you can aggregate them by month. So you have at least 20 scores each month, and you can calculate your NPS score and have a reliable result. Some tips. And then what I did, I included in this presentation a template. It doesn't really show here. Where's my cursor? Here. This is an Excel file that I'd be happy to share with you, that you can use to, when you collect those the customer input, you can put it in an Excel like this. So 1st of July, your first customer gives you a 7, this next one gives you a 4, the next one gives you an 8, etc. And then you need a formula to actually add up all those scores and see, well, there's actually only one person giving me a 3, there's 2 people giving me a 4, there's 2 people giving me a 10, you can see them right here. So that translates to 4 promoters, 5 passives, and 3 detractors, giving you a score of 8% positive, right? So just a few more promoters than detractors. And then that's the scores for July. So next thing is look at August and see if you made an improvement, addressing some of the concerns that your detractors had. So this Excel is available for you if you want to use it. I'll just press on. So what's the key takeaway for this first part of this webinar? It's basically to plan, do, check, act. And the guys from Light Microfinance Bank have seen this this concept a couple of times. It's very important. It's basically in the context of customer service or the quality of your product. You plan out what product you want to sell, what service you want to provide, right? That's the first thing. You've already done it. Second thing is you sell your product, you render your service. You're doing that. That's already done. But then don't stop there. Check your customer satisfaction, collect feedback, right? That's what we've been talking about. And improve your product or service or market your strengths. If you find out what makes your customers scoring 9s or 10s, make sure that you shout about it in the market, because it's what will attract new customers too, right? So with that, we've come to the end of the first part, and I would like to go to the second part, Jeremiah.
Sandra, do you have time for one quick question?
Yeah, sure.
So Stanley here asks, how do I retain a customer whose business is being affected by the prolonged lockdown? How do I retain a customer whose business is being affected by the prolonged lockdown? Yeah,
it's a good question. I'm not in what business. What is the business that this person is in? Can you share? Not sure who's asking.
So Stanley, raise your hand so that we can unmute you, and then you can. Stanley, right there. Okay. Okay.
Raise hand.
Yeah. Stanley, go ahead and talk. Hello, Stanley.
Hello, sir.
Hi, Stanley.
Yes, please ask your question. Did you hear the facilitator is asking what sector you are in? What's your business?
Say transport business, transportation.
So you have so you're seeing customers less customer demand, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So I guess how I look at this is indeed it's a big shakeout in the market, right? So at the time that transport businesses are scrambling for customers, it's really important to, when there's just a few customers out there, that your service is actually at the highest quality. So your service will be preferred by that customer. But if a customer doesn't need it or cannot afford it, then there's no point in dealing with that customer, right? So yeah, there's no easy answers dealing with customers that are actually going out of business or have less buying power, unfortunately. Right, thank you for your question, Stanley. So what I would like to do now is, looking for my cursor, yeah, go to the second part of the presentation, and we ended by saying, find out what are your weaknesses, right? What are the improvement points that your customers may suggest? But then also, what are your customers excited about? And when you know what your customers are excited about or how they are promoting you, those are typically that's the feedback that you can actually bring into your marketing plan, right? So let's talk about the new rules of marketing and PR. And really what we will be talking about is how to use social media to reach your potential customers directly, right? So when we say there's new rules of marketing, there's also old rules, right? And I'm going to run you through some key elements of those two worlds. So looking at the old rules of marketing and PR, we talk about paid advertisement, radio commercials, TV commercials, outdoor displays, right? In the new world, we have free social media. We have Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, YouTube. You could even say, maybe for small businesses, business of like microfinance bank, the old ways of marketing, paid advertisement is unaffordable. But now there's good news. There's new social media available that you can actually use to share your messages with the world. So it opened a whole new box of opportunities. So where under the old rules, we would be selling our product promises and be shouting from the rooftops, we have a great product, you should buy here, we're the best, we can do everything for you. Under the new rules, we are seeing that it's far more important to share the story behind your product, share your expertise, show who you are as a service partner. What is your reliability? What is your the knowledge that you have built, the expertise that you bring? So people will not just buy a door frame, but actually buying the door frame from someone that knows how to do it and how to do it well. So another dimension is, instead of spamming an uninterested audience, like with radio commercial, everybody will hear about your door frames. You want to find out. You want to actually reach just the audience that is interested in this. So that may be builders that are using those door frames, right? So you want to make sure just to reach them. With social media, you can actually do that. And we'll discover how. It's coming from propaganda, just telling your product is great, no questions asked, to authenticity. Show who you are, what is your expertise, what are your struggles, what are your lessons learned, so you can share those with the world and everybody can benefit from your lessons learned. So it's a different mindset. It's getting away from sending a one-size-fits-all message, but making multiple stories available. So someone will come to the door frame because he wants to use steel, and you're great at steel. Others are coming that have different are coming for price, or coming for because you're working with a great welder, for instance. So instead of making one advertisement that needs to address all the different views, you can actually address multiple different audiences. You're moving away from designing an advertisement, and you're looking at what stories do I have to share. We're moving away from your expertise is your secret, and we want to actually instead we want to show off our expertise in forums, online discussions, so people will actually be able to find out if you are the expert they can rely on, right? So it's not so much selling your product, but really showing who you are, and that you are a person that knows his business, that is making a great product. It's typically different. I hope this makes sense. Any questions popping up? If not, we'll press on. So what is it your audiences would be interested to hear? And it may be it's stuff like this. We'll cover a number of examples to make it more practical. Just looking at my notes. So one of the things may be, where's your product coming from? What is its origin, right? So the potato farmer that we talked about, it's good to share how she's actually growing the product, and it's actually made with care, right? So the same thing with how it's made. So show people how you make your door frames. So people can have confidence that this is a person that actually knows how to do this. What can you do with my product? That will be interesting to an audience, and they will be attracted to your website. How has your product helped other customers, or how have you solved a customer problem? Those are typically things you may want to share, and it will help customers find out if you're the kind of company they would want to be buying from, as I wrote. I see Fanny raised her hand.
Yes, please. I just wanted to. Hello.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, I just wanted to chip in for our brother who asked a question about his transport business.
Yeah.
In our part of the world, transport business can be a bus or a taxi. And in this COVID pandemic, we are trying to see what would really work in this new normal. And it looks like some governments have given out orders that buses and taxis and the rest cannot take full number as they used to. That will bring out etc. And so they've been mandated to sit social distance in the buses and taxis, and then use all the PPEs that are suitable for the business. So I don't know whether it's the same for our brother's case, where revenue isn't coming in, because instead of 30-seater bus, he may have to take 10 or 12 of them, giving them the necessary whatever. Some transport owners themselves thereby got attracted to customers who would want to board their transports because they offered nose masks, they offered sanitizers, they also social distance. And so whenever they got to the terminal for people to board, people wanted to kind of get into their buses because of what they are doing to keep them safe. I also wanted to chip in that in this time of the COVID-19, it's a new normal. Though we are socially distancing and all that, we need to socially connect. And it is a time where, with the businesses we are doing and working with, is the time that we are building serious relationships than what we even used to do, because it's a distressful time. and it's only relationships that will keep your customers by you, plus all the things that one needs to do as well. So I wanted to just chip in that. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, so thank you for that. So back to, let's say, the sharing the messages and not boasting about your products, right? Or selling your products promises, or selling just propaganda. What kind of expertise, how can you actually share relevant stories that customers would be interested to hear, and they would be keen to actually follow themselves? So you don't need to push it to them, but they would actually be interested to hear from you how you're doing with your product. For example, if you're in food, you may want to share your recipes, right? So if you have nice recipes, and people will find your recipes on Facebook or whatever, and they will, so I know this company has nice recipes, they will come to you, and your food store will be top of mind, right? That it's not going to be selling your food, but it will get your food store a lot of attention, because you're known for having great recipes. So that's a way of getting awareness, or creating brand awareness, or making your company known. If you're in sewing materials, you may want to share patterns or something. So same thing. People will know where to find you for patterns, and then you will be on the top of their mind for sewing materials. If you're in fair trade nuts, like I am, what we are doing, we are sharing about stories of fair trade success, right? So people are doing business with us also because we have these, we are doing fair trade with nuts. So we want to actually show them how we're doing, and actually by sharing how we are applying fair trade in the countries that we're in, we actually attract new customers that are who are attracted to the way we do business, and they're keen to partner with us. So it helps us. Actually, those customers will know how to find us. We don't need to look for them; they will find us because of the interesting stories that we share. That's something. So if you're in IT, what do you want to share? So we have an IT company around here that shares hints and tips around IT security, or how to deal with Excel, email tips, or all kinds of things. So you will just give away those hints and tips, and because people will know that you're offering this free advice, they will know that news will spread, and you will be found, and you can then offer your service. If you're in potato farming, like Ushangal in Jos, if you would want to do online marketing, what do you want to share? I would share pictures of my seeds going in, my plants emerging. Look at them; they're beautiful. My potatoes start growing. Your customers will chip in on those messages, and the news will spread, right? So there's something to talk about, and new customers will line up. So that is something around potato farming. Then I was also thinking about pleasure travels. Paul Upa is attending this webinar as well, and I was thinking, when you're in transportation, how can you be relevant for new customers? Of course, word of mouth has done a great deal for pleasure travels, spreading the news that it is a great company, safe, well-maintained trucks, etc. In terms of online marketing, you could actually think of sharing news of where it is safe to travel, or sharing news of buying a new truck, maintaining a bus, right? So people can actually see what you're doing to have the best maintained buses. It's an interesting read, and people can actually find out, and we'll get to know you for great, safe and reliable transportation. So those are some of the examples that I had for different businesses. I'm not sure if there's somebody in the audience with a particular business that we can think of what would be what kind of content we could be sharing for that particular business.
Anyone with a business that you can quickly raise your hand and we'll unmute you, and you ask a scenario of how, case study of how to market your business on social media.
If it is not coming that quickly, it may not be easy, then we can also take it after the webinar. Oh, there's Ben. What was Ben's business again? I forgot.
Hello?
Hi.
Go ahead, Ben.
Yeah, is just a question. For a young farmer, how can a young farmer do his business on social media?
Yeah. So your customers are consumers, right?
Sure.
Yes. So let's jump to the next slide, right? So the question is, what forum, what platform do you use? Can you use to engage with your customers? So you're selling to, are you selling to shops or directly to consumers? Oh, did we? Ben, can you tell me, are you selling to shops, to retail shops, or are you selling directly to consumers, to families?
I sell it to both.
Both. Yes.
Yes.
So what we typically see, and it was in the Dutch newspaper just yesterday actually, a message from Kenya that actually farmers are selling more and more direct. So the markets are tricky territory, right? With Corona playing up, but but farmers can actually find new markets directly with customers, with consumers, to hand out their product. So if you have so there's a good number of platforms. Facebook typically is used for communication with consumers, with end consumers. LinkedIn is more to talk with business. That's how it is in Europe. Some businesses, so if you are dealing directly with consumers, I would advise Facebook. But if you just put something on your web, if you have a web page and you put an announcement on there or some stories on there, you will probably not get noticed, right? So you need to create followers and have interesting stories to share. So followers can actually will follow your updates, and they may and they know where to find you. So like the potato farmer I was talking with, you can actually show pictures of the nice products that you have, right? And if you have beautiful pictures, you can use Instagram. I'm not sure in your country which of the forums are most frequently used, but the key is you want to be there where your customers are, right? So if your customer, you can be on Instagram, but if your customers are not used to that that media, it doesn't really make sense. So you may want to be on Facebook. So I guess that is so the question is, so you don't want to be telling the world I have the best product, but you just want to show the care that you put in for your product and the love that you have for the product that comes from your land, right? And give updates. So that would be the new way of marketing. Make sense?
Yes, please.
All right.
Hello.
Yeah. So
hello.
just to complete that, to complete, let's say, the platforms. So Facebook, pretty much for consumers. LinkedIn, more for business to business. A web page will not be found unless you connect it to a group of followers, right? Through LinkedIn or Facebook or any of the other media. For Instagram, more for pictures. YouTube is something you can use for how-to guides, right? So if you, the other day my washing machine broke and I wanted to know how to fix it. So I look up, how can I fix my washing machine? I find a local repair shop that has a nice video on how to do it. And then I actually ordered my spare parts with them. So that's how YouTube can work. And if you have a more closed group you want to communicate to, you can do an email list. I'm not sure how to use WhatsApp because we don't want to spam people, right? And push our messages out there. We want to publish our message on WhatsApp, and we want to invite people to follow themselves. So they are the only ones that actually follow are the ones that are interested in our product, and not the ones that, and others we don't want to waste their time. So that's how different the different way that we use these platforms. And I'm not sure, did I miss any other African, maybe local platform that I'm not aware of?
Well, Sandra, it looks like you covered most of them. So do you have time for one quick question from Lagos?
Yeah, sure.
Ogunleye is joining us from Bowen Microfinance Bank. So I'll unmute our sister here. Go ahead.
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
Yeah.
Good afternoon.
Thank you for this. I don't know, it's just a question or a comment, but I'm just wondering, we have so many illiterate customers who typically this social media medium channels, they are unable to interpret. So most of the time, what we've been doing is to try to speak to them in the local language, like the Yoruba or whatever that they understand. But I'm taking something away from you. Maybe if we can do more of pictures, throw it into them, because typically they don't have smartphones.
Yeah.
And once you don't have smartphones, all these channels will not be accessible to them. So I see a sort of challenge, you know, in trying to reach them through this wide social media network.
Yeah, you're right. You're right, and that is that's. I think actually it's taking the principles in a very practical way, right? By using pictures and bringing those just verbalize those stories, right? So you may not use social media to explain, but you will just tell them. And I guess the key is the key different thing is not to just say I have the best product. You should buy with me, but actually show the care and the love that you have for the product, the expertise that you have around the product, and be willing to give free advice and free hints and tips, so they know you are the go-to person when it comes to that type of product. So that's the new way of selling.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you for that.
Thank you. Yeah.
Maybe just to bring it to a close, because I'm looking at the time, we're slightly overrunning. I would just say, in light of social media, it would be important to continue publishing, right? And make sure that you frequently share updates, and your updates are up to date, so you don't leave it outdated. So people need to know that it is current and your business is alive, right? So that would be one last tip with social media. And then let's move to the last slide. wait a minute. Yeah. So I had a question for you. Let's make it a personal question for you. You take home, right? We will probably not have time to collect all of those all of that input just now, looking at the time. But I guess for you, just to trigger your thinking, what would you say is the most important action you can actually take now that you've seen some of this material? And then the next one is, we would like to do a poll, but it will come offline, or it will come in the email that Jeremiah will send later. How likely is it that you would recommend this webinar to a friend or colleague? So I'm going to be very curious. Am I going to be, will I receive a positive number? Will I receive a negative number? Or is it pretty much around zero? It doesn't matter. In the end, I'm really appreciating, and we are really appreciating your feedback, and especially also with what is the primary reason for you to give us this score, so we can improve and take on learnings for the next webinar to come. So
yeah, actually, I'll launch it right away, Sandra, for those who can. Yeah, so it's coming your way right now. It's anonymous. Cool. Yeah, it's anonymous. So your name won't appear, your email address won't appear. So just score. It's completely anonymous. So.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Yeah, you can carry on.
Yeah,
Sandra,
sorry, I'm just, of course, I'm intrigued to see what is happening. So let me just say that if you want to know more, we've basically been talking from two thought leaders on all of this. So it's a book by Fred Reichheld, The Ultimate Question, and it's a book by David Scott on the new rules of marketing. So there's so much more to be found out about this. But I guess I took out the highlights for you, and you can actually make your first steps in applying some of what is shared. But if you want to know, and I'm just giving credit to the ones writing these books, they've been helpful to lots of companies here in Europe and in the US, and I hope you will be able to benefit from them as well. So with that said, Jeremiah, I'm done. So thanks everyone for your attention. It's been a pleasure.
Oh, wow, Sandra, we are so very thankful to you. Just as we wrap up here in a minute or so, I have a chat here that came in from Fanny in Ghana. And she said, trade platforms are important too. Trade platforms come in handy when we have most of our customers not social media savvy. So when you have trade platforms, then your customers that are not very handy with social media platforms, I can get to those trade platforms. And we have another chat here that says, thanks for this initiative. I have learned a lot. So with that said, thank you again so very much. Those of you that have, go ahead.
There's still votes coming in, right? So I would really love to get as many votes as we can. That's going to be really helpful feedback. And Jeremiah, what do you think? Is there a way we can ask the question about what is your primary reason for the score? Is that something we can organize or something to take offline?
Yes, we can send that question by email to everyone who attended today, and then also try to get the recording to them. We have this recording in the cloud, so if you registered through your email, you should be able to access this recording, and you can play it again or listen to it, and then even ask follow-up questions to the email that is in the invitation to this webinar. If you ask that email, it will come.
Perfect.
We would also try to put this recording on YouTube there was a glitch in broadcasting it, streaming it live, but we will have the recording on YouTube as well, so you can go back in there and listen again. So as we said at the start of this, we would be having another webinar next month. That's in August. You can send in suggestions that we would continue to take into consideration as we plan webinars that address the questions that you have, challenges that you're facing currently in your business. We've also been having conversation about how to engage more directly with LCI leaders and bring support to them as they in turn continue to build the capacity of their entrepreneurs, which is the primary model that we work. That being said, I want to really thank Sandra for making time to make this preparation and present it to us. Keep your votes coming in. We're at 86 voting. But thank you so very much, Sandra, for the time that you took. You were just coming in from vacation and you took the time to prepare this and present it. We are thankful, and we would keep the questions coming to you, even following this presentation. So to our BA team members that are on the call today, thank you for the moral support, making time to join us on this call. We're very encouraged when we have our BA team members join us. I see a couple of them on the call here. Brent working in Cote d'Ivoire, Brian working in Cote d'Ivoire, and a few others. So thank you very much for making time to be here. Colleagues, staff of Partners Worldwide, we are very thankful to you for being here. We have results of your polling, and we would take this very seriously, and probably follow up with a poll as to why you chose the score that you gave to us. Yeah. Joyce, any closing remarks, announcements that I missed, I forgot? Mario?
Thanks, Jeremiah. I think you've covered everything, and thank you everyone for attending today. I hope we'll have all of you attend the next ones that we set up.
Right. So thank you, everyone. Have a wonderful day today, and blessings. Bye for now.
Bye-bye.